we have finally received the name reveal for Path of Exile 3.27, and it looks like we're getting some kind of continuation of Breach, perhaps a Breach 2.0, and let's play the short teaser video right now to get everyone on the same page.
The worst has come to pass. The Hiveborn have invaded our world. We must drive them back before it is too late.
So there it is, the Keepers of the Flame. There's no mistaking this for anything else. The hands and the colour scheme and the reference to the Hiveborn, all signs point towards some kind of extension to the Breach mechanic. Perhaps it's going to be a new mechanic that builds on the story of Breach, or perhaps it will be an update to Breach to modernise that content in PoE 1. I think the mechanic in maps is actually quite good, but the Breachstone bosses haven't aged all that well over the years. Now, the interesting thing about this teaser is that we actually have quite a lot of information about the Breachlords from Path of Exile 2, and I think what we might be seeing here is the continuation of the Breach story to bridge the gap from PoE 1 to PoE 2. In Path of Exile 2, we know that Xesht exists, and we know that this Breachlord is an amalgamation of all of the other Breachlords minus Chayula. We also know that initially the 5 Breachlords, that being Zoth, Xesht, Tul, Ulnathol, and Chayula, planned to merge to become Xesht Ula, but at some point between the events of PoE 1 and PoE 2, the union occurred without Chayula, and the result was the pinnacle boss that we fight in PoE 2, Xesht, We Who Are One. Xesht wants to consume Chayula to become whole, but Chayula has other plans. In fact, Chayula doesn't appear to be the evil Breachlord that we thought he was from what we knew in PoE 1, at least not entirely. It's revealed in PoE 2 that Chayula actually helped the mortal races on Breachlords in the forming of the Third Pact to push back the Abyssals during the Winter of the World, a 1,000-year-long winter that covered the world in darkness. Ultimately, the Alliance won, and the Abyssals were forced underground once more. However, take a look at this flavor text on the Guiding Palm of the Heart unique scepter from PoE 2. When the Third Pact was written in stone, the Dreamer gave the Alliance of Men and Beasts knowledge. In return, they gave him a drop of blood, one from each of the races of Breachlords. The Dreamer is a nickname for Chayula, so Chayula provided the mortal races with knowledge in exchange for a drop of blood from each race, which sounds a bit ominous. And we know that at some point between then and the events of PoE 1, Chayula has become more sinister, eventually attacking the inhabitants of Breachlords, and that is hinted at in the final sentence of this flavor text. In the centuries that followed, his will began to change. However, despite Chayula becoming an enemy during the events of PoE 1, we know that he decided against the union with the other Breachlords because his goals did not align with theirs. And we have some flavor text on other unique items in PoE 2 that refers to this. First, we have the Guiding Palm of the Mind. Deep in thought, you would tremble the very air before you. Wreathed in light, you nurtured them all. And yet, your nature became you. The Dreamer mused with aching heart as remnants of forking tendrils burst forth. So this is Chayula's thoughts about Xesht, and we have another one about Tul as well on the Guiding Palm of the Eye. With piercing eyes, you saw through the stillness. Undulating as one, you gloriously covered all in white. But I can bear you no longer. The Dreamer whispered with fogging breath, ice creeping down his hand. Something to note here is that both of these flavor texts seem to suggest that the union had already taken place at some point, with the final line of each perhaps hinting that Chayula had these thoughts while he was part of Xesht Ula, and that would align with the existence of Xesht Ula in PoE 1. But perhaps at some point Chayula broke away from the other Breachlords because his goals no longer aligned with theirs. And this is further supported by another unique from PoE 2, the Palm of the Dreamer. We sometimes fail, we sometimes succeed. Who determines one from the other? I now know we can never be made one, if we are born of differing desires. And yet, I have hope for a new truth, and I will see it made real. The Benevolent Dreamer. Now, beyond that, we also have dialogue from Xesht, specifically one that they use during the attack that combines Xesht and Tool together.
They fight once more.
Further cementing the idea that a rift was formed that may have forced Chayula to depart. There's also another voice line from a different attack.
Thought by thought, destiny unwinds.
This one may be referring to the union of the Breachlords, and that their destiny as Xesht was undone when Chayula left. Okay, so what about the name of the league, the Keepers of the Flame? Well, from PoE 2 we know that a Vaal organisation known as the Cult of the Purple Flame existed, which were essentially worshippers of Chayula. There's also the Acolyte of Chayula Monk Ascendancy in PoE 2, which is a reference to a group of monks that believe in the good intentions of the Benevolent Dreamer, that promote the inherent value of living beings and oppose slavery and oppression. Now, the teaser text for the 3.27 update is "Wield the Flame and fight back the Hiveborn." I think that it's very possible that we'll be fighting alongside Chayula, or at least alongside a group that aligns itself with Chayula, against the Hiveborn, breach monsters that are being sent by Xesht to ravage Rayclast. This could introduce an entirely new mechanic to PoE 1, or it could update the breach mechanic using the breach monster models from PoE 2, and introduce Xesht to PoE 1 as a new pinnacle boss. I think this would be a great way to modernise the Breach League mechanic, and making use of PoE 2 assets to freshen up the mechanic in PoE 1 makes a lot of sense too. This would also provide a great opportunity to revisit Breach rewards, give those unique items an update, and maybe introduce some new rewards to this content as well. Lastly, I'll mention a few references we know of to the Hive. I'm not sure if the Hiveborn is mentioned specifically anywhere, but the Hive is mentioned by It That Fled in PoE 1 and by Xesht in PoE 2.
The Hive buzzes with voices, but it is all alone. The Hive grows.
The fury of the Hive. The Hive shall spill forth like a mother's blood.
That's about it. We'll have to wait for the full livestream reveal on October 23rd to find out for sure. But what do you think we'll be doing in 3.27? Let me know by commenting below. And thanks for watching this video. As always, stay tuned and stay safe.